Welcome to Sam's Russian Adventures. I'm Sam, an English guy living in a incredibly snowy and cold provincial Russia. Now today I wanted to go for a little walk around my neighbourhood and have a talk with you about something that's never really covered on YouTube, and that is the Russian marriage scam. But the snow is coming down like crazy. You can see I've got my boots on, but I don't know if it's going to be feasible to even make a video outside right now. I think what I'm going to have to do is try and find a nice little shelter. Let's walk around the side of the house. Maybe we can shelter. Look how deep the snow is. That's how much snow we've had. That is crazy, isn't it? That's like, I don't know, 40 centimetres maybe? That's crazy. I'm not going down there. This is the view from my kitchen window. The snow is crazy. So much of it. Obviously it's beautiful, but it's not ideal for filming. So unfortunately we're not able to film outside. Too much snow, too crazy. So I've come inside to make this video. My house isn't very beautiful, I'd say, so I've just found this little couch here. I'm going to sit and talk to you. So if you hear a bit of crashing and banging throughout the video, it's basically my cat just going crazy around the house. Doesn't like when I'm not giving her attention, so she'll just go completely wild, and yeah, she hears me talking, sees me sitting there, but I'm not talking to her, so she'll go crazy basically. So as somebody who has been creating videos about life in Russia for what, 7-8 years now on YouTube, one of the things that I've noticed, and obviously most YouTube creators are aware of, is that foreign men really love Russian women. My cat's going crazy. What's she doing? In every single video that I make, if it features a Russian girl, like a lot of my B-Road Russia videos featured Milena, I will get tons and tons of messages to my different social platforms asking about how they can meet her, telling me they're in love with her, telling me the girl that I walked past at 2 minutes 47 when I was walking past a shop is amazing, and can I find her, and how can they contact her, and all sorts of messages. I get, hundreds of messages literally every week from mainly American men telling me that they're completely in love with the girl in the video and how can they contact her, they want to marry her. So recently I made a poll in my Telegram chat group asking the people in the group what do they want to see more of in my video, and I gave them a set of random choices, like maybe going to restaurants or viewing other towns or speaking to people on the street or Russian girls. And about 40% I think answered Russian girls. They want to see more girls in the video. That's what they want to see. So when it comes to Russia, as much as people are in love with Russia, they're also in love with Russian girls. But I also want to ask you this question. How long after being in a relationship should people get married? It's a very interesting question, because I put that poll also to my Telegram group and most people answered a year plus. A lot of people said 2 years. I think if you were living in America and you meet a girl, you'd go out with them probably for a couple of years before getting married, right? But when foreigners come to Russia, they get married to Russian girls ASAP, as soon as physically possible. It's heavily promoted that Russian girls will do anything to get out of Russia and to marry American men so they can leave and get the green card and go and live in America. What is not told is the amount of foreigners who want to come to Russia, get married to a Russian girl as quick as possible and live in Russia. So the information I'm going to share with you in today's video is based on lots of prior experience with foreigners that have moved to Russia and got married. Lots of conversations I've had with foreigners who are married to Russian girls. So just yesterday I had a chat with a guy in my Telegram chat group who's married to a Russian girl, and he shared an awful lot of information about the details of his life that really confirmed an awful lot of the things I'm going to talk to you about today. And he was very open and honest and said, yeah, you're right, Sam, you're right about a lot of these things that you're saying. You'll have no doubt heard lots of amazing stories of foreigners who move to Russia because they're in love with Russia. They just love absolutely everything about Russia, and they end up in these towns in the middle of nowhere because they're so happy that they're moving to Russia. They love everything about Russia. They love Russian people. They love the Russian mindset. They love everything about Russia, that they go to Russia and seemingly find themselves in the middle of nowhere just because they love Russia so much, right? And this is like heavily publicized about all these foreigners that are doing this and making this amazing, incredible, brave move to the middle of nowhere in Russia because they just love Russia so much. But is it because they love Russia so much, or is it simply because they want to meet a Russian girl? So in order to frame this right, it's also very important to put yourself in the mindset of a foreigner who comes to Russia, okay? A foreigner who comes to Russia comes from the US, from maybe a European country, from the UK, and they come here with a scarcity mindset. And what I mean by that is, look, I don't want to offend people, but generally in Russia and in Eastern Europe, Russian girls, I can vouch for, are very, very beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Compared to the UK, there are so many more beautiful girls in the UK. Now, I'm not trying to say that in the UK or in the US, the girls aren't beautiful. But the average girl in the US compared to Russia, there's a huge difference in beauty, whether it's genetics, I don't know, and I'm not trying to offend you if you're from one of these countries that I mentioned, but generally in Russia, the level of beauty is a lot higher. And if you're a man watching this, then you'll probably agree. If you're a woman, again, I'm not trying to offend you. I'm not saying you're not beautiful, but the level of beauty in Russia amongst women is generally higher than in the UK. Right, so because of this reason, okay, the average beautiful girl in the UK will get so much more attention from men than the average beautiful girl in Russia. And so if you're a guy like me, when I'm living in the UK, I'd speak to a beautiful girl and the beautiful girl wouldn't be interested. Wouldn't be interested at all because that beautiful girl has to pick. She has to pick of the men. In Russia, the beautiful girl is just an average girl because there's lots of beautiful girls here. So it's completely different to the UK or to the US. So if you put yourself in the mindset of a man coming from America and he comes to Russia and he sees a beautiful girl, he's in this scarcity mindset. He's in this mindset of, oh wow, this beautiful girl is speaking to me. This is incredible. And what generally happens is on the first couple of days of a man coming from the UK, coming from the US to Russia, they'll meet a girl and they'll just be in this scarcity mindset of, wow, this beautiful girl's speaking to me. I've got to get this on lockdown. I've got to get with her. She's got to be my girlfriend. I've got to marry her. Because they're in this mindset that where they've come from, that girl would not pay them any attention. And what they also don't understand is obviously it's interesting for the girl to speak to them because they're from a different country, from a different place, and perhaps that girl has learned a little bit of English in school. She's always been interested in the US or the UK, and then suddenly this guy has appeared from the US or the UK and they're interested to speak to them. Next, it's really important to understand the mindset of a Russian girl. A Russian girl in a relationship wants to take care of the man. She wants to do everything to take care of the man. What she expects from a man is for the man to be the provider, the man to look after her needs, right? So she expects the man to fix things around the house. She expects the man to bring home the paycheck. She expects the man to be able to, I don't know, change the light bulb, right? And then she in turn will take care and look after the man. It's a very, very traditional mindset and a traditional mentality. And so what foreign men do is they quickly realise, well, hang a sec. So first of all, they'll come here, they'll meet a girl, they'll be like, wow, this girl's incredible, she's so beautiful and she's giving me attention, right? I've got to date her, I've got to do anything to date her. So they'll start taking her out, start dating her. After a week of being in Russia, they'll be dating, right? And then they'll start to realise, well, hang on a second, this is actually really good for me. When I go out with a girl will order the taxi. The girl will choose the restaurant because she knows which restaurant is best. She'll order at the restaurant. She'll translate things in the supermarket. She will basically almost be like a tour guide, a translator, and a girlfriend. She'll do everything for the guy, and the guy won't have to do anything himself. And I've seen this so many times, and I'll give you loads of examples of different people that I've spoken to or known throughout my time in Russia. So dating that Russian girl is basically like a shortcut to being able to live easy in Russia. And it's a very, very strange one because, yeah, of course it's great, you know, for a man and a woman to go meet and to fall in love and to live happily ever after. But these men that are coming from these countries that love Russia, and they want to get out to Russia, they want to learn all the customs, they want to meet all the people, well, they end up just doing absolutely everything through their wives. So when foreign men first come to Russia, often they'll seek me out. It's a strange one, but they'll, you know, have maybe seen my YouTube channel in the past. They would have seen maybe my English language school, and they'll seek me out. And they'll write to me and say, hey Sam, I'm moving to Russia, and I was wondering, is it possible to have a chat with you, or is it possible to meet you in Russia, maybe go for a drink and have a chat? And I've done this on multiple occasions. And so I'll meet the person, they'll talk about how much they're in love with Russia, and they're going to move to X town, and all these different things that they love about Russia. And then the next time I'll see them, will be a couple of months later, I'll say, how's it going in Russia? How's things? Are you enjoying yourself? They're like, yeah, I got married. I'm like, whoa, you got married? You only moved here like 2 months ago. I'm like, yeah, I met a girl like on the second day I was here. I'm absolutely in love with her. Arranged all the documents, got married straight away. I'm like, oh, wow, that's a bit weird, isn't it? You know, you're 40 years old. Why did you get married in 2 months? Didn't you think you should take your time, get to know the person? I'm like, no, I got married. I'm in love. We're in love with each other, completely crazy about each other. We got married, you know, just want to live together forever. I think it's a bit weird, isn't it, that you got married so quickly. Now, again, you're an adult. It's your choice to get married if you want to, but it is strange that suddenly you come to Russia, you meet a girl and just marry them straight away. Now, isn't it a bit cringe that a foreign man will come to Russia and meet a girl who perhaps doesn't speak that well in English, and they get married like immediately? Isn't that a bit strange? Why would they do it? Why would a foreign man get married to a Russian girl so quickly? Why would a Russian girl get married to a foreign man so quickly? So the reason is because it's a marriage of convenience. It's a marriage of convenience. You see, if a Russian woman over 30, let's say, has been in a few relationships, hasn't worked out, met this foreign guy, and this foreign guy wants to marry them, well, maybe they're not ready to marry them, right? Maybe they don't really understand that man very well. They don't really have much to talk about, don't have a lot in common, but they think, well, it's a good opportunity. It's a good opportunity. Maybe in the future I will love him. He'll be a good provider. It'll be a good opportunity for me, so I'm going to marry the guy. For the man, it's an incredible opportunity because they want to live in Russia, but they don't want to have to spend any time having to kind of go through the trial and error, finding things that they like about Russia, finding things that work. The wife will do everything. So I often meet these guys, right? They don't have any single Russian friends at all. No Russian friends. They don't know anything about the place they live. They don't know anything about anything. The girlfriend does everything for them. So imagine you move to Russia, right? You don't know anything about Russia at all, yeah? It's all just brand new for you. After a month, you need to get your hair cut. What do? Ask your Russian girlfriend. She'll ask her brother. Her brother will tell you the hairdresser that he goes to. There you go. Got your hairdressers. How do you make an appointment? She'll call, make the appointment for you. How do you know who to speak to? She'll go with you, take you there, and make sure that you go to the right person. How do you get home? She will arrange for someone to meet you, or she'll meet you after the hairdressers to get you home again. need to go to a restaurant. You want to go to a restaurant. What restaurant's good? What restaurant's bad? Do you go for trial and error, try and test it out yourself? No, you ask your girlfriend. She'll ask her dad which restaurant that he likes, and they'll go to that restaurant. So there's loads of situations you get into as a foreigner moving to, to a country you don't know about. In Russia, you need to register. Well, where do you register? When you live at an address, it needs to be registered with the police. How do you do that? No problem. Your girlfriend's brother will sort that out for you, or it's just crazy. Like I'll ask these guys that come from foreign countries. I'll say, "Have you ever been to the banya?" They'll be like, "Oh yeah, my girlfriend's brother has got friends who got the banya." "Oh right, have you ever been to the dacha?" "Oh yeah, my girlfriend's parents have got a dacha. Sometimes they invite me there." "Oh, have you ever been for a barbecue?" "Oh yeah. My girlfriend's sister's friends took me swimming once. It was really cool." "All right. Have you ever been skiing?" Yeah, I've been skiing. Yeah, my girlfriend's dad's uncle goes skiing and loves skiing, and he takes me there. So you can completely understand why foreign guys come to Russia, meet a girl, have that scarcity mindset, think, wow, this girl's incredible, and they basically date this Russian girl because it's like a shortcut to living in Russia. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to go out. You don't have to make friends. You don't have trial and error. You don't have to go through the process of say you want to buy a car, right? There's loads of classified ads. You look through them, get your girlfriend to call them all. You don't have to think, well, how am I going to call them? How am I going to speak to that person? Girlfriend and do it. You want to then register your car with the police and do all that stuff. How do you do it? Girlfriend's family will sort it out for you. If you've got a problem with your car, it's not starting. How do you do that? Girlfriend's family will sort it out for you. You've got anything you need to do, girlfriend, their family will take care of everything. And it's just it's a bit weird because you think, well, hang a sec, obviously I'm all for love, it's brilliant, foreigner comes to a new country, wants to fall in love and meet a girl and live happily ever after. But then they make up these stories that the reason they come to Russia is because they're in love with Russia and everything about Russia. They haven't got any Russian friends that haven't come from the girlfriend. They've never just been out on their own and done stuff on their own. They don't go out on their own. And it's pretty crazy. So that's the first step. Foreign man comes to Russia, meets a Russian girl, starts dating them. Life's really easy. Don't need to do anything for themselves. They've basically got a slave, a translator, and access to all the knowledge and history of the family and of the girlfriend. So life just becomes easy. Really easy to just live the Russian dream without actually having to do anything yourself in Russia. But then, why get married so quickly? They all want to get married so quickly. There's so many times and so many strange situations. I know a guy that came to work at my English language school, and he asked if we could find a helper, someone to kind of just show him around the city and stuff like that. So we found someone to show him around the city. A month or two later, he was like, "I'm getting married." I'm like, "What? You're getting married? Why are you getting married for?" He's like, "Well, I met this girl I'm in love with and I'm marrying her." I'm like, "I didn't even know you met anyone. Who's the girl?" And he told us about, it's the girl that's helping me to show me around. I'm like, why do you want to marry her? Like, you've only known her a couple of months. She doesn't even really speak English. Like, you've got a crazy accent. She can't understand your English. Why are you getting married? She's like, "We're in love. We're getting married. It's true love. We're definitely getting married." And I'm thinking, why? So there's another guy that contacted me and met me and said, "Samo, can you just tell me about what it's like living in your town? I really want to come and move here and stuff like that." And I'm like, "Yeah, cool." So I met him, and I met him a few times, and I kept asking him about his life. He didn't really seem to have any friends here. Never really went out. Never really met anyone. Made any effort to kind of make any Russian friends here. And just kind of did things on his own and walked around on his own. And then I saw him and asked him if he's got a girlfriend. He's like, "No, I haven't got a girlfriend," nothing like that. And then I saw him a couple of months later. I said, "How's it going?" He's like, "Oh, no problem, I'm getting married next month." I'm like, "What? Last time I saw you, you didn't have a girlfriend, now you're getting married." He's like, "Oh yeah, I went to a different town for a couple of weeks, went on holiday, saw a girl there, decided to get married." I'm like, that's just as weird, isn't it? You're like a grown man. Why would you meet a girl and decide to marry her immediately? Wouldn't you have a relationship for a while, maybe for a couple of years, and just enjoy each other's company and find out about each other and stuff like anywhere else in the world, right? It's like, no, we're getting married, we're in love. I'm thinking, isn't it just strange, right? So the guy that came to work at my language school got married, And he spent a year married with this woman that they just couldn't understand each other. And like, his accent's so difficult to understand. He's a northerner from the UK, from Newcastle. Really difficult to understand. And they ended up getting divorced. So they got divorced because I think they had nothing in common whatsoever. And so a couple of months later, I was speaking to him, and he said to me, "Yeah, Sam, so I'm getting married." I'm like, "Do you mean you were married and you got divorced?" He's like, "No, I'm getting married." I'm like, "I thought you just got married. You were together for a year, got divorced. Why are you getting married?" He's like, "I've met another one." I'm thinking, another one? That's how you describe your Russian wife, another one. It's just, isn't that just weird? Like, so this guy has literally probably met two people since he's been in Russia. The first one was a girl who was married after 2 months, and then the second one was a girl who decided to get married and got married a couple of months later too. And it's like, why would you do that? Don't you want to go out, make friends, experience life? You just come here to find girls and get married. Is that why you want to live in Russia? Because Russian girls like you so you can get married to them? I don't understand why the marriage, right? So why get married? Why is a sudden rush to get married? So I'll tell you the reason. Documents. The most important thing for living in Russia is documents. If you're living in Russia, you come here on a visa, you're here for the length of the visa, and then you have to leave. You can apply for residency. Great. But to apply for residency and be accepted, they have to find a reason to accept you. If you just come to Russia and you've been here for half a year, just kind of like, you know, enjoying life, and then you go and say, "I want to apply for residency," they're going to say, "Well, are you working here? Are you doing something here? What's the reason for you wanting to be a resident?" And it would be difficult to become a resident. But if you're married, you automatically gain residency. So you don't need to think about any of that stuff. So marriage is the next step, because the foreign guy comes here, basically finds a slave to do absolutely everything for him. Just imagine all the little things you need to do in your life that you can't do because of the language. You don't want to risk messing it up. You maybe, just things like having your car serviced, finding the right garage, things like that. You don't want to go through all those steps, right? You want a shortcut to an easy life in Russia. So you have that Russian girlfriend who does everything for you, and that's great. You've got a girlfriend, and that's brilliant, right? You've got a girlfriend, but it basically means you can come and live in Russia, don't make any effort, don't have any friends, don't do any of that stuff, and just have that shortcut to an easy, comfortable life in Russia, and then get married so that you can get the documents, so you can become a resident, so that you can just continue that easy life. And it's strange, right? Because at the same time as hearing all these stories about these foreigners that come here and go to all these amazing places that are in the middle of nowhere, and they have got this fantasy and love for Russia that they really want to come here. Is that the real reason? Most of them don't speak Russian, don't try to speak Russian, don't have any friends that aren't connected to the girl's family, and basically they just have a slave. Now, a lot of foreign guys are going to be pissed off with this. They're going to say, "What are you talking about? Why are you saying that stuff for, right? What's that all about? Why are you making all this stuff up?" If you're angry with this video, the chances are that you're one of those guys. I've spoken to quite a few guys, and they've openly admitted that, "Sam, yeah, I don't have any friends apart from my wife's friends and family. I don't go out and do things on my own unless it's meeting other foreigners, right? I don't have any actual Russian friends that aren't connected to my wife and their family. I don't ever experience anything in Russia unless it's connected to my wife and their family. I don't travel unless it's connected to my wife and my family." They'll say, "Oh, I went out on the weekend to another city and walked around on my own." Right. Your wife organised the hotel for you. Your wife organised the transport, how to get there. She did everything for you, so you got to go away for the weekend. It's not the same, is it? You're trying to go to another country and find things in that country and discover stuff. All you're doing really is finding yourself a slave tour guide wife who can do everything for you. Now, a lot of Russian girls will probably say, "What are you talking about? Why are you making up this stuff for, right? This isn't about us." But if you think about it, is your husband like this, right? Do you do absolutely everything for your husband? Chances are you probably do. The key sign to this, to are you in one of these relationships, is does your husband want to marry you really quickly? Like way quicker than you'd ever want to get married if you just met a fellow Russian person. Now, there are people that don't get married for up to a year. But when did they decide to get married? Did they decide to get married after a couple of months? The chances are the only reason they didn't get married for maybe a year is because they've got a problem with the documents. Maybe they need to leave, they need to go home, they need to get the documents sorted, they need to prove that they haven't been married in the past, things like that. There's a process you have to go through, and if they haven't got those documents on hand, then they have to wait. So ask yourself, when did the foreign man ask you to marry him? Was it after a couple of months? I'm sure it probably was. Anyone who's applied for residency has gone through the process of maybe even getting to the stage of citizenship right in Russia will tell you the difficulties they had to go through to get it. The difficulties they had to go through to get it. Now, I've spoken to loads of foreign men who are married in Russia, and they have no idea of the difficulties. A lot of foreign men aren't even aware of the residency level that they have. It's pretty crazy. So I came here on visas initially, and then I applied for residency after a while. In order to apply for that residency, I had to go to the immigration and convince an immigration official to allow me to apply for residency. And we had to have a sit down, a meeting, to talk with them and discuss how and why I should receive residency. If you're married, you don't have to do any of that. And I'm sure the foreign men who apply for residency, who are married, are aware of that. Now, the thing is, I've spoken to these foreign men, a lot of them, and I was speaking to one guy, doesn't speak Russian, lived here for 10 years, doesn't have any friends apart from his wife. When I met him, he said to me, Sam, can you help me out and find me a job? I was like, what, find yourself a job? He's like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to speak to people. So I found him a job. He then called me the week after and said, my wife's gone to work. Is it possible you can take me there? And I was like, why can't you go to work yourself? He's like, I don't know the address. I was like, well, I'll write down the address for you. You can just go. And he's like, yeah, but I don't really know how to speak to taxi drivers. Is it possible you can pick me up from my house and take me to my job? My wife will pick me up later and bring me home. And I'm thinking, wow, that's just insane. Shows the level that your wife does everything for you. That when your wife is busy and you're going to your job for the first time and your wife can't make it there, you need someone else to come and pick you up and take you, because if someone else who speaks English doesn't do that for you, then you won't be able to get there. And it's just mental. But that is a true representation of so many foreign men of how they live in Russia. Now back to the residency, right? So this guy, I asked him, well, how's he living here? What stage of residency is he on? And he said, I don't know, I've got the blue book. I said, the blue book? That's your knowledge of the residency process, the blue book. So the blue book is the second stage of residency, the permanent residency. I was like, you just call it the blue book. How was it difficult for you to get and stuff like that? Did you hate the applying process? It's like, oh no, my wife just did it for me. She gave me, it's like a blue book. I'm thinking, wow, if you knew the difficulties that you would have to go through to get that second stage of residency, if you were just here, came here on a visa, and yet you call it the blue book, and that just shows the naivety and the level of, I know, it's just insane. But having spoken to so many men who have done this, and they will openly admit now, after being here for a while, that, yeah, they got married because residency and all of that will just be taken care of. It's the route to an easy life in Russia. You don't have to go out, you don't have to do trial and error, you don't have to try and meet people, you don't have to go through all that process. You basically marry a native and they'll just take care of you and do everything for you. And it's pretty insane, but that is the modern day Russian marriage scam. Foreign men that come to Russia and just think, I don't want to learn anything, I don't want to have to do anything for myself, I'm just going to find a girl, going to get this on lockdown and then marry them so that I don't have to worry about any kind of documents, and then my life will just be cozy and they'll continue to do everything for me. I will provide financially for the family, and perfect. Now, a lot of people will say, well, there's nothing wrong with that, right? If both people agree to it, if she's happy and he's happy, there's nothing wrong with that. But then at the same time, when you hear all these amazing stories of these foreign men that ended up in these towns in the middle of nowhere and doing all these things and finding Russia because they're just in love with Russia so much, you have to read through the lines and you find out that it's not true at all. They came here, found the girl on the first day, got married to him as quick as possible, got the documents, and then they just do everything through their wife and their family. Now, again, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's the way that the person wants to live, then they can live like that. But they know that they're taking a shortcut, and that is the new modern marriage scam when it comes to Russia. It's not the Russian girls that are trying to leave, it's the foreign guys that are coming here and just getting married as quick as possible to get the documents to live in Russia in an easy life.